You can think about what you're thinking about. Sure, jump shot. Well, let me just think about what the comp is here. So it looks like double sniper mirror with Mercy Zen, Hog Sig. I don't know what tanks they're playing. Probably. Oh, so it looks like probably mirror tanks. So this is like a full mirror match. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what their second DPS is though. If it's Hanzo or Widow or whatever. Oh shit! You fucked that guy. I think this angle is really good. The starting angle. This is like a very low risk angle to get control of this. Like I like this. I honestly like this angle more than I like the next kill. Like this is a huge kill, obviously, but kind of almost like a little bit lucky timing for you. But I think you're definitely playing the map well, and in the sense of like pushing this left flank. The thing about Widow is like this is probably my worst hero. Like in terms of I don't know that much about Widow. It's good target priority there. You're actually going for this Widow instead of the first person you see, because this map is. Once you kill the Widow, you can kind of, like you're doing right now, you can just strafe super wide and take these really open angles where basically you can't die here, right? Basically, it's like free kills from here on out. It's good that basically all that to say is like it's good to kill the enemy Widow. You killed her twice even off the res, which is huge. I don't love this, but it's not the end of the world. It's like the Widow shit. It's fine. I mean, I guess you end up owning him. Maybe you knew he's up there. Yeah, it looks like you know he's up there. That's why you do this. Okay, then that makes more sense. I was thinking you were just doing that to like spawn camp, but maybe is he shoot or something? Overall, I think your positioning is really good so far, though. There's nothing really to critique. Oh, you hear him shoot. That's why. The audio is kind of quiet for me, but so you knew he's there. So that's a good push, actually. Sure, push forward for a jump shot here. I like that you grapple early to get to this high ground. I think you should put some gas down. Yeah, you do eventually. SMG the guy. That's a nice play. Bait the hook. I don't know. Nothing really to critique so far, to be honest. Like when you win the Widow duel like that, just instant double win on the Widow duel. That's how it's supposed to go. Is you just go super wide left on Junkertown and just like you're free. You can do whatever you want. I guess this angle is a good angle. It's very defensive. Like you can only fight the one guy you're fighting. You're not worried about the other guys. You have big walls advantage here. The only thing about just thinking about this wall usage, it's like one of the bigger, most significant things that's happened so far. Use the walls, find the enemy Widow. I feel like I don't know. I guess it just sucks that your Zen dies like right when you wall, which just sucks. Like you know, but I don't know if that's you don't even realize it. Like you're just pressing wall and then your Zen dies like now or something. Just gets headshot. So that's good wall usage. Just kind of your Zen's bad. Yeah, I just feel like you're under a lot of pressure to make a play here. Is why you do this jump shot. I think maybe here you could just go for a jump shot and not land up here. Like at this moment, it looks really dangerous, right? I think you could have just dropped here. And like this scope in thing here, I think you can't do this. Because you know this hog's here, right? And your team just lost high ground, so you're definitely getting pushed like the next one, like 2 seconds, right? So, like, I like this movement. Like it's good to put pressure on high ground, but now, like jumping back where you can't jump off high ground anymore because you have this wall next to you. That's why you die to this guy. If you just stayed, like, you keep that option to drop off high ground close at hand. Like, you stay right on the edge, if that makes sense. So, like, if right here you stay right on the edge, like, and don't come back behind this wall, then I think you could dodge the hook here. You try to do it, it's just, like, you can't do it because you're too late. If you play, like, right up on that edge, so that like this is the situation where they're dominating the high ground and you're gonna get pushed by Roadhog, so you just need to be ready to drop. It's like one of the best things you can do against Roadhog. Even if he hooks you, as long as you drop, you might still live. Just because it's like he won't hit all the shots on you if he's hooking you and you're below him, or he might. I mean, he might kill you, but it's all just to say that you wanna when you're going to the high ground and it's contested like that, you just gotta be ready to drop. This is a good angle. I almost want you to be taking an even wider angle here. Like down here in this bottom left spot. Again, I'm not like the biggest Widow expert, but I'm pretty sure this is the right way to push in this situation where the enemy is controlling the high ground above you. I don't think you really do anything anywhere else. Like this peak is fine, sure, but I feel like I'd rather you be like back. There's like a pillar and like the hallway back there. I think you'll get more vision and be more annoying from there. Whereas coming under them, like, this is just a bad spot for Widow. Like, this is some crazy shit, you know what I mean? Like, you're never gonna, I mean, maybe you get a kill like that once in a fucking week, but it's just some low percentage plays. You know, even this flank is like, it's okay, but I mean, this is pretty sketchy, honestly. I mean, you kill this guy, but this is definitely some sketchy stuff. Like, I feel like the more consistent play there would just be to play that back spot by the Mega, because people will peek their head over the edge there, and it's really hard for them to control the peek against a Widow when if you're in that back hall. Like, no one can kill you because their tanks have to stay high ground. If they drop in, they'll die, and you could just use the pillar to waste some time, and then your team could probably save you. But even more than that, like, this sort of wild flanking play, I mean, like, it works out because you just shit on the Zen, but I don't know. I think that's, like, not necessarily good. It's more like you hit such an incredible shot that, like, if you can hit that shot, you should just play the defensive angle, and you should just play the defensive angle and just, like, wait for them to peek their heads and stuff, because I think they will. Like, if you're pushing cart, they have to, like, peek off that edge. That high ground is good, but it's not that good because of that play where you can just sort of sit in that back hall where the Mega is. Here, when you're going behind, like, at this point, you're committed, right? So this is fine. Like, once you did go on the right side, this is what you have to do, is just keep running it down the flank and go wild. I do think you make a mistake here. Like, they know you're behind for sure. The Zen's calling it, and that's why the Widow pops walls here. Honestly, if I were you, I would literally just jump in on the Widow right now. I would just jump shot over on the Widow and just, like, ego duel her and die. Most likely, you're like 99% you're gonna die. But maybe sometimes she misses and you fucking kill the walls, because I think you'll never. This is never gonna go well. Basically, trying to go back to the enemy team, where now, like, they all know where you are. You know, you're infra sighted. I think your play basically is like you forced them to use walls, so that was kind of good that you were behind. But this is like, I mean, he hit some good shots on you on Hanzo, but still, I just don't think it's like the most optimal play to even be there. Like, I think you're gonna die trying to run back. Like, you're never getting back to your team there, is what I'm trying to say. So it might be better to just go for some really high risk play to try and kill a Widow. Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. Like, there's like the ranked mentality of like going for the high risk play because your teammate's not going to make space, and like that might be true, honestly, in ranked, which is sort of the unfortunate reality of like improving. Is there's sometimes like the play that will win you the ranked game is not actually a good play that you want to be doing in a high level environment. But I mean, it sort of depends what your goal is. Honestly, I would swap Widow. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you to swap Widow here because you're definitely way better at Widow than I am, and I fucking hate Widow, so I like swap Widow very, very quickly in any situation. But I do think this is kind of a bad spot to be Widow. They're just dominating the high ground. You can't really do anything about that because you're playing Widow. This peak is kind of cool. You're like pressuring them, but that's only because they overextended a little bit, right? They could have had their tanks up here, and their Widow could have been back on this second high ground, and that's how people would hold it in like a higher level environment where they're not going to get as much done. Nice. You grapple up on this guy, so you get the free kill from the sleep. All is well. Good walls as well. This is really good because he's under pressure from your teammates. I would just whoa, you're not looking at him? That's some wild shit. I would just stay on this guy and SMG him to death or whatever. Looking at other people there is a little bit wild. I don't know if that's some like high level Widow shit where you're like moving your head or something, but I wouldn't scope in and look away from her while you're walling. That's pretty too risky here. I also think you got over eager, right? Like when this Widow died, you're like, I mean, this I don't hate, trying to headshot this hog, but jumping in, I absolutely hate this. This is not good, right? Like, I think you made the right play, like, because if you did hit this headshot, he might have even died. Like, it was a good play to look for that. And it was very, very close. I think it was just like barely on the edge of the clip or something. But jumping in here is definitely not right here. Like, you know what I mean? You could do the same thing from high ground. But moreover, I'd rather see you like grapple over here or be... I think, honestly, once you kill this Widow, like... You kind of pushed here just to kill the Widow, right? And that's what your original mentality was, like kill Widow and pressure her, which I think is good. But I think after she dies... I would rather see you grapple back over here right, and just play that big open wide angle. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of tunnel visioning in a sense. Like you push forward for one kill, but then once you got that kill, you like stayed forward. And it wasn't terrible when you had the infrasight and you could like take the shot on the hog. But for sure, after that, I think even right now, I would rather see you back out and get to this super cancer sightline where the Widow's dead, right? So you want to play max range now. The only thing that kills you is like, I mean, if you're close range, obviously you could die to anything. You could die to the Sigma or the Hog or whatever. But if you're long range, the Hanzo just has to hit some crazy shot to kill you. So if you just back out after getting the Widow kill and take the wide open sightline where you control the objective from long range, like they kind of have to kill you or you're just going to be sitting there free shooting on them. Like, you know, I don't hate this play because you're like looking for the big kill on the guy trying to contest. I think that would be really good. But for sure, there's a moment here to like, you know, you could be high ground. I do want you though in this position, like almost every time you're trying to finish the cap on Junkertown second. Like this is such a broken position for Widow, like being this high ground right here, and you can peek the bridge. You can even play by like the pills over here. Yeah, once the Widow's dead for sure, and then like, you know, you kind of just like you went on the left side of the map because you're trying to kill the Widow, but then you just kind of like kept going down that left side of the map when that actually wasn't good anymore. Killing the Widow, pressuring her with walls, you have a big advantage there. That's good. But staying, like, continuing the course. Like, sometimes you go one flank, and then you're like, I got a kill, or I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and you just need to go back and go the other flank because the first flank is no longer good. Especially because you probably get called out and stuff. So they like, call you Widow's top left or whatever. And then if you kill that Widow, get called out, Widow's top left, and then you immediately rotate to the right, you know, they're not looking at you when they come out or something. And even if they are, you just have a huge advantage because they don't have a Widow anymore. Yeah, I guess this is the right play to like look for Widow. They have a Tracer now. You're in big trouble, basically. Definitely just going to be super sketchy for you to win this. You're going to need to like pop off and kill the Tracer. Unfortunately, step into the Dragon. A little bit unlucky there. Trying to grab the Mega. The Dragon was on it. But this is partly why, personally, I think if you take a look at your comp, like this is a great time to not play Widow because, I mean, their comp sucks. Like their comp is stupid. Don't get me wrong. Like they're not playing a good comp, but you guys are playing some like insane level of greed, like double sniper plus Ana Zen. I think Ana Zen is the bigger problem because this is like greedier picks than these. Like that you could have double sniper if you have like a Brig, you know, I think it'd be fine. But honestly, like I'd just rather you be on McCree here or something. Or I don't know what exactly you play, but like McCree or Tracer or Genji. Genji is kind of sketch. If you switched a long time ago, like when the enemy was forward holding the choke, I would say Genji is good. But now at this point, you're through the choke, your card's almost at the end. I would say like something like Tracer or Soldier or McCree. Whatever you're most confident on. But just like, I mean, obviously it's like your teammates should go Brig too, and you can like tell them, but you know, the only person's hero you can actually control is your own. Here, I want to see you taking a wider angle. Like, you know this Hog is coming for you. I think you wait too long here when you see him do this. Like, at least while you're shooting these, like, you should be constantly walking to the right here, I think. Maybe not, actually, because they might be forward spawn on the Hanzo. I mean, you should be able to win this fight before the Hanzo gets back. So you could be like, when the Hog goes in this left, you know he's coming for you, right? It's, like, really obvious that he's going to do this. You dodge the hook, which is nice. So now it's fine again because there's no one flanking you, so you're fine. Nice kill on the Mercy. Body shot her down because it's a Valk. That kill on the Lucio probably secures it. That's a huge kill. And this is what I'm talking about. This spot, like if you had been here at the fight before, I think you'd have the same thing happen, right? Where you're just kind of free killing them. You know, especially when now they're not even playing a Widow. But yeah, this is all good. Just grab the Mega here. This is a little bit sketchy. I mean, whatever. I mean, I don't know. You can just ask your healers to heal you or something. That's kind of on them for not healing you so quick. But, yeah. I like this angle in general because I think it's hard for Hanzo to win the fight here. Just like you have an advantage on him. Your team is just killing them all, though. Like, you don't even need to do anything here. Honestly, I'd like to see you just SMG this guy. Just, like, walk around and just fucking SMG him if he's going to do this shit rolling around. I think this is also a great position. Again, you have this really long sight line. You can kind of control the choke point a little bit. Again, same thing. This is why Widow's kind of broken on Junkertown, because if you get to this spot, like, you're a little bit free. Yeah, this is all good. A little bit, yeah, you just didn't realize he got slept, honestly, there. It's not that big of a deal. Obviously, it'd be better to headshot him. Yeah, good walls. I like that you're not forcing the fight with him because you're 110. It's like, it's really risky to get one body shot here. So I like that you're just kind of baiting him. Especially now that your team's winning. Like, you don't need to kill this guy. You wait for help. This is really smart. You just wait for your teammates to come because you don't want to take an aim duel with less than one body shot. And then, again, you find yourself in this god position where you just, like, the enemy can't do anything to you. I would say, like, aside from the second point, like, there were some moments where I think you probably could have done more switching off Widow, like when the enemy's holding the choke point on you. And if you are going to be on Widow, I would prefer you in that like that bottom left angle. I don't even feel like that's that baiting, really. You're not really, like, your teammates maybe have to do something, but it's pretty fucking hard to, like, not ever peek off the right. I mean, especially if you, like, if you're in that bottom right angle and you kind of get all the way over by, like, where the mega is when the enemy's holding the high ground, I think it's pretty easy for you to be finding some headshots there, or some people, like, not paying attention, shoot them in the back. I don't know much about the meta for, like, Junkertown, like, starting on Widow, so it doesn't really matter to me. I like that you're not... Maybe you did jump shot at the start, actually. I think I see most Widow players... Yeah, this left some jump shot, but I see most Widow players, like, playing the left, actually. But I don't know if that's... I mean, it's literally whatever. I mean, Widow's such a mind game hero, right? So I don't want to tell you to, like, play a certain spot if you like a certain spot, like, whatever angle you're more confident on. Big Widow hook shot from them. A little bit unfortunate he hits that. It's pretty huge. You guys probably just lose from that, but... Looking for something. I'd rather see you actually backing off here rather than playing this close fights. Like, I think you can look for this, but when nobody's here, I would like to see you go battlements or something right now. Like, yeah, they're flanking you really hard. Okay, this is better now. You actually... Yeah, so this I like more because, like, your Mercy died, right? So you guys need to be resetting. If you start swapping Widow, you might keep on changing if it doesn't work. I mean, the biggest thing is, like, that's like a key part of skill in Overwatch is understanding, like, what hero to pick, because you obviously don't want to switch heroes because it's better to, like, get ultimates and not switch. But sometimes it's good to, like throughout the round, you know, you make, like, one decisive switch. Like, you start the round on Widow, and then there's, like, a moment where you need to be on, let's say, Genji or Tracer, and you just stick it the whole round. Or maybe you play it for, like, one ultimate or two ultimate cycles, and then you switch back to Widow because you need it for last. Honestly, I don't hate, and upon further thought, like, I don't hate playing Widow on that second point push because of that lower play. I just do think that, like, the YOLO flank shit on Widow is, like, that's really not good, because even if imagine, like, that Zen you killed when he pushed you, like, if he just doesn't fight you, even if, like, he just doesn't give you the chance to kill him, and then he could just, like, go set up on the high ground, and then you'd be in this weird spot where you're, like, in the enemy spawn, and then eventually they would, like, come back with, like, 3 players, like a Sigma or something, and just kill you, and you can't win. If you're, I mean, the thing about being really good at one hero, like, you're obviously really good at Widow. The only downside of that is that you can get in a rut where, like, you are already really good at Widow. Like, you're already, like, if you're fucking 4600 SR playing a shitload of Widow, you're already, like, one of the best Widows on the ladder. So the problem is there a point where that can only take you so far? I mean, Widow is like a freak hero. You can kind of just carry ladder games all the way to the top. But the question is, what do you actually want out of Overwatch? Do you want to be the highest ranked Widow on the ladder, or do you want to be, like, you know, playing on teams and stuff? Because Widow I think you can probably one-trick Widow to rank 1. Like, probably. I feel like that would work, you know? Like, I don't doubt it. But the question is, can you... Like, will that same thing work on getting a team? And, like personally, I think the answer is no, right? Like, when you take it to a competitive setting, you'll play against teams who will just hard counter you. If they know you only play Widow, they'll hard counter you and stuff. Yeah, if you want to make Overwatch League, like, you just can't be a Widow one trick. There's no Widow one tricks in Overwatch League. You know what I mean? Like, even the best, like, you take, like, a player like Ons, who looks like, in my opinion, like, the best Widow this season was Ons. But even he would like, there was a lot of strats where he would play like Hanzo or Ashe or sometimes McCree, and he would look good on all those. Like, he can play them, you know. So, you know, like those heroes, if you're really good at Widow and your aim is totally crazy and you hit headshots like crazy, you probably should be able to do that on Ashe and McCree. Those heroes are like pretty, well, Ashe is very similar, McCree less similar. I mean, the aiming is different, like the actual FOV of the scope is different. So like there are, like, it's not like you're automatically going to be good at those heroes, but you do need a hero pool bigger than one to compete, really. Widow, Ashe, Reaper, Sombra. Yeah, I think that pool is too small and too, as you said, meta dependent. I would really recommend adding heroes like McCree, and McCree would add a lot to that pool, and I think Tracer and Genji. I mean, if you don't, projectile is like, I don't know. I think ultimately, like every single player in the Overwatch League, every DPS player plays hit scan and projectile. Like, there are very few players like I'm trying to think right now. Is there any player who like does not play projectile heroes in the Overwatch League? I don't think so, actually. I mean, there's obviously a lot of players who specialize away from that and play like hit scan only. But like, is there anybody who really just cannot play it? Like, even Ons has a good Hanzo. Like, Logic also has a good Hanzo. Happy. I mean, there are some players, right? Like, it's not like zero, but it's very rare. So the question is, are you competing? Like, if you want to make Overwatch League, do you want to compete for the like 3 slots in the league for somebody who literally only ever plays these like small number of heroes, or do you want to basically your chances are way better of making Overwatch League being competitively successful the more heroes are in your pool? That's what I'm trying to get at. And like, you're already really good at Widow, and the painful reality is that you probably will have the highest rank you can have right now just hard spamming Widow and never swapping. Probably you will hit 4600, you will dominate and be like top 10 or whatever, but you're not, like, you're already so good at Widow that you really aren't going to get so much better at Widow. Like, there's a couple things so far in this review, like, you know, like taking a certain angle or something, but your aim is good enough at Widow where you're not really going to be getting that much better at aiming. Like, is just the reality. Like, you might get a little bit better, but we're talking percentages of percentages, you know? Like, in a sense, you're capped. You're not capped, but your gains from playing more Widow are way smaller than if you learn new heroes that diversify your hero pool and allow you to like play in a broader variety of strategies. I mean, if you're gonna one trick, I think Widow might be the best one trick for DPS players. Actually, definitely, it's the best one trick, but nonetheless, it's still like limiting. And you're not like, let's say you're not hard one tricking and stuff, but like being very specialized on Widow is a limiting thing. I mean, this is Junkertown, right? So this is a map where you can probably play Widow 24/7, and maybe there's no problem with that. Even in a competitive environment, maybe there's no problem with that. But this is like one of the best Widow maps in the game, right? There's like Junkertown and Havana and stuff. Like, yeah, you can Widow literally all day on those maps, like no problem. But there's also maps, you know, like there's Koth maps and shit where Widow just sucks, and like you just cannot play Widow in a high level environment. Like, you're gonna play Widow in like, you know, Control Center or something, like Oasis University. There's some maps that just you just don't want to be on Widow for, and I think that's like probably realistically going to be the most important thing I can impart to you on coaching, is like broadening your pool. So is this guy walling you, or I'm curious if
Hans is just giving me so much.
Curious if he infrasights you or if you just sonicked you. I need to listen to the audio to know.
Oh, Widow close left. Yo, you can kill her ball.
I got tank stop left.
Okay, you're both infrasighting. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this sort of peak on Widow. I don't really see people doing this. In the Overwatch League, generally, when both Widows wall, I just see them ignore each other, because this type of peak is like, this is actually just bad, honestly. When you're peeking like this is bad. You need to bait the shot if you're going to peek on the wall mirror, because whoever's not peeking, whoever's just holding the angle, has a major advantage, right? Like, I think you can do things like to fake peek, you know, like you like scope in, but you don't actually peek, so it looks like you're going to peek and then she shoots. But I don't think you can like actually just man up peek into a wall mirror. Like, you know, a competent player is going to beat you. Like, and even if a player is even skill with you, then they're going to win because you're pushing into them and you both see each other, right? So it's just natural that they have an advantage here. So I think, yeah, when you're wall mirroring, I wouldn't really recommend forcing the peaks like that unless you can bait a shot or you know she's not looking at you or something. Like if she's staring at you, just don't. That's like too ego. You know, you want to have some ego of like confidence you're gonna hit the shot, but that's like he has to miss in order for you to get the shot. You know, you're never gonna shoot first in that situation. Here I think there's no reason to shoot at this guy when he's pulsed. You like stayed scoped in. The moment you see this guy get stuck, you should just unscope and hide. You can't live, right? Like the moment you kind of stick around here for a second and charge a shot, and that's like the only way you could die. I mean, it's big shots from him to hit while he's stuck, but nonetheless, I don't think you even want to be scoped in there when he's stuck. Like you don't need to shoot him anymore. You even shoot a shot at him, but it's just like pointless, right? Like what if you headshot him there? It does nothing, you know? He was dead to the pulse bomb. I mean, they are just kind of fucking you on this Widow Hanzo shit. But third point is a place where you can kind of bring it back without a Hanzo because it's much harder for Hanzo to Sonic you on this point compared to the first and second point where it'll be a lot easier for the Hanzo to give him an advantage. I do think you could get wider here. I guess not when your players are dead, but maybe this is just fine. Honestly, I don't even worry too much about it. I mean, you have a Tracer, they have a Hanzo, right? So I guess I can see why you don't want to be forcing it too hard. You don't want to be getting Sonicked. He used Sonic, though, so now you're good to peek. Curious to see how you set up. I'd like to see you play really fucking passively against this comp. Like, just bait them, because aggression is going to be really punished by the fact that they have a Hanzo, and he's going to Sonic you. So I think it's fine. Yeah, this is a good rotation. This is sort of the area I want to see you playing against when you're against Hanzo Widow, and you're only Widow, that's unfortunate. But when you're against Hanzo Widow and you're only Widow, you do need to play very passively because they will just push you together. And your Tracer can get picks because of that, but you're not really working with your Tracer here. I think you could grapple this. No, you're just dead anyway. There's nothing you could do, really. I think, is there a moment you could back faster here at when you wall? Just realize the Sigma's running at you. I mean, you stick around a little bit, and maybe you would have lived if you ran instantly, but it's pretty rough to just completely run away while you're walling, so I don't hate this play too much. This move is fine. Not that big of a deal. I like this angle too. This is the sort of passive angle that I think you need to be playing basically all the time when you're playing double sniper. Are you playing against double sniper, I should say, and you don't have double sniper? I feel like you can go for a pick here, but you need to like get out afterward. Oh, that's unfortunate. But that's a huge kill. Now you kill him. Now you can kind of be fearless. I think you should be gassing here though, because like I don't know where the Hanzo is. Maybe you know where the Hanzo is. I don't know that you. Maybe somebody's calling it or something, but I think for sure you should be putting a gas either on this or just right here in case the Hanzo climbs on you. Or you could just shoot a gas on the cart to like wall hack somebody or whatever. Like, sure, I agree shooting this guy before you do anything so you don't make noise. But, like, right now, especially when they trance and you kind of have a moment to be like, well, they're trancing. This is the moment I would definitely put a gas down. Either right under me, like right on the ledge, or behind you. I would feel like I would be scared in this position that the Hanzo's going to walk up behind you. Or that he would wall climb up to one of these spots and push you. I mean, he does die now. So now I would just shoot the gas to cart. But I think it's definitely always worth shooting a gas. Like, even while you're fighting like this, just shoot it on the cart or whatever. It's just annoying for them. Just takes them, like, one shot. So you do it, but it's kind of like after the fight's over. And yeah. I mean, like, even though it's just gas, right, it is a cooldown that you can cycle. And I think it's just good to cycle it. You know, like, put your abilities on cooldown and get use out of them. There we go. That's a great gas. So now you don't have to worry about that anymore, or at least you know. So this is perfect. Works out perfectly. You see the Widow. You rotate away from her. She can't do anything. She's wall hacked. You get this free kill. Nice. Nice. That's great usage of the cooldown. And you're not exposing yourself to Widow. I think the Widow was... never mind. seeing things or something. This is great, yeah. You get the enemy Widow's location, and you know she's gonna be hiding, right? Because she's gassed, and then you kill the supports. Yeah, you find her. She doesn't know where you are. You kill her. Awesome, easy. And you're back to the spot. I like this spot. I like to see you put another gas down, like another gas, maybe on this left choke here, like on the banana maybe, because that's where the Widow might come, or just the same gas you put before on the stairs. There's no reason to like have your mind like off CD like this and just like not, you know, like you should, because if you have one out, if you have a gas out and then it's on CD and then it, like they find it, right, you just pop another one instantly. So you really do want to have a gas somewhere. I mean, there's a lot, you could put it up here, I think, on this like edge corner, or in here, or wherever the fuck you want, but just make sure you're using the gas like every time it's up. If you're not like shooting somebody, you're in a fight or whatever, then you should basically always be putting a gas down. There's no reason not to have it. Just makes you, even if it doesn't protect you and it's just only going to deal like fucking 30 damage or whatever, it does 50 damage to somebody, it's still good. I like this, waiting on that Zen because your Tracer's pushing. Maybe kill that guy. It's going to be hard though. I like this as well because your Tracer's in, so you can kind of do some weird shit just because you're flanking them. And I like that you're shooting these guys. You only have a couple more seconds. Okay, they just spawned, so you're okay now. But I like this. Spawn pressure is good. They go Tracer now, so you need to kind of think about this. I think actually you actually shouldn't do this when they have Tracer switch. Like, I think it's okay to take this peek, but when the Tracer just crossed here, maybe you didn't realize that was Tracer, but maybe in hindsight, I think that's kind of obvious. Like, when you know that's a Tracer, she crossed, like, this peek you're doing is pretty predictable, you know what I mean? Like, everyone does this when they win a fight decisively on Junkertown. You should definitely be running. Okay, you get that kill. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with taking this fight, really, even though you get this kill. I mean, you hit a crazy shot, but I think this is a really hard fight for you. If you don't hit this shot, you're dead. Like, you're dead instantly if you don't hit this shot. And you dead anyway. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I honestly think like you should press tab when you're doing that flank, and you should just see they're on Tracer, and you should be like, wait, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it was a good play, I think, against double sniper, where the enemy is going to be slow to punish you on a play like that. But honestly, you should have died for free. The fact that you get one kill means it like kind of saved it. But I mean, this is why you want to have a hero like Tracer in your pool, right? Because think about what KSF is doing to you. It's so annoying, you know what I mean? He's like constantly pressuring you from behind and making it harder for you to like actually play the game. And there's a lot of cases where he's gonna kill you, right? Like, it's just like you can't really, like, what can you really do against this? I mean, I wouldn't want to be on Widow right now, especially because they're playing McCree Hanzo. You don't actually need a Widow anymore, and a hero like McCree, or they're playing Hanzo Tracers is what I meant to say, and a hero like McCree would, I think, have a way better matchup there, or just a Hanzo yourself. It is Junkertown again, like Widow can work, but like, I don't know, when they go Tracer like this, I would just rather you play a hero that makes Tracer irrelevant, or makes Tracer's life hard, you know, like McCree, or, you know what I mean? You kind of have to just ignore this Tracer and hope she doesn't hit you, but of course she does. It kind of comes down to comfort, but I think when you're in that situation where you're like recontesting, you know, I don't know, you almost have Infrasight too, so there's like reasons to be on, to keep your hero and just keep your ult and stuff, so it's not that bad. Could go Ashe is another hero where it's like, it's almost the same thing as Widow in terms of what you provide to the team, but you're way better against Tracer, you know? Like, when they're on Tracer Hanzo, Ashe would be a great pick there because you can kill both of their DPS. You can headshot the Hanzo with the Ashe scope in, and then you have like Coach Gun, and you have like the left click to hip fire to kill the Tracer with, or you could headshot the Tracer too. It's just a lot. Yeah, I just think Ashe is a better matchup than Widow does against those heroes. I don't know. Keeping for Infrasight is like kind of reasonable too. It's not the end of the world though. I think I mean, this is fine. I guess you dynamite the back line. They're playing, so what, they're playing Widow Hanzo. I'm trying to pause when you press tab. Maybe I can find that spot. shit. Alright, so they're playing 2 Sniper Hanzo Widow. You're playing Ashe Widow. I think in this comp matchup, you guys actually have the better range, damage, and poke. Like, to some extent. I don't know. I think the biggest thing in this comp is really your Widow should be going around this left flank and trying to get control of, like, the long sight line. And I think you can kind of be pushing. You're in, like, sort of the right spot. I think it's, like, fine. But I'd honestly rather see you, like, up closer here, rather than, like, sitting back and, like, hoping they flank you, you know? Like, you haven't even, like, they just ran away. Yeah, like, that's a fight that Hanzo is better than you are at that fight, right? Close range and stuff. I think I'd rather see you, like, on cart here in terms of getting the most value out of Ashe. Like, on the low ground on cart and just shooting tanks, because that's really what your advantage is in this matchup, is you pressure tanks while your Widow pressures the coast. I don't like this at all. I don't know where the Widow is. She's dead, or no, she's still alive. So this is pretty bad, actually, because the Widow was on that box. If she had just been watching you, you're dead here for this coach gun thing. Like, I like being here. I like poking these tanks. I would like it maybe more if you were, like, on the low ground with your team. Like, this, I actually like this position. I don't think this, though, I don't like, because the Widow's just not peeking right now. But I think you would just die if she was peeking. It's super easy to shoot the Ashe when she does that. So I think in this situation, you should just stay low ground and keep grinding tanks. Like, honestly, like, just keep pressuring their tanks out. It ends up going well for you anyway. I mean, being high ground I don't hate, but I do hate coach gunning up there, because that was like, you're just hoping she's not peeking you. I think it'd be better to play low ground and, like, get eyes on the Widow and then maybe wait for her to shoot, and then you could jump high ground or something like that. But yeah, I think Ashe is, like, at least in this comp, sometimes Ashe is the pick hero and you should be looking for the picks, right? But when you have a Widow on your team, that's your Widow's job, right? So you don't need to both be doing that. It'd be better to be if you don't need to both be doing that. It's better for one of you to be pressuring tanks. Like, you don't want to have nobody looking at the tanks, or at least of your DPS. And when you do have a Widow, I think generally speaking, you want to let her go for the picks. You want to pressure tanks. I also don't like you guys are, like, stacking your positions here. Like, you and Widow are, like, just right next to each other. I guess that's okay, actually, because they switched to Tracer. I would say if they had Widow, it'd be bad, but I think it's fine because they're on Tracer. You kind of look away from that guy too fast. I think you could kill him, maybe, or pressure him harder. You guys are just owning them, though. Your tanks are basically just carrying right now, is what I'm seeing from this. Like, also, I think their comp is not that good. I think Hanzo, like, if they had Widow Tracer, I think they'd have a much better comp. But Hanzo Tracer, I don't think is that good. But it's fine to, like, take those wins, you know? Like, I think your comp beats their comp now. Like, right now, there's no need to switch, really. There's an argument that your Widow doesn't need to play Widow, but it's Junkertown, so that's an argument to just play Widow, even though it's not maybe compositionally ideal. Maybe it's just fucking Junkertown, so Widow's just good here. I personally am a fan of playing, like, yeah, like in here, or even in that next one on the right. Like, I would like to see you rotate away and like be, you know, again, this is a fight that Hanzo has an advantage in because he's on the high ground and he can just, like, jump over and over again on the corner. And if you don't headshot him with damage boost on, you can't kill him. He's going to get healed. You get res too, but I just would prefer you, when the cart's, like, they're not stopping the cart here, right? If they were, like, tanks are jumping in and you need to, like, be here shooting them right now, then it's okay, then you can keep fighting here. But when the cart is, like, moving past here, you could have been all the way to that next one, you know? And now you get caught in the corner. Like, this is kind of a no man's land because it's overtime. You can't leave the cart. You want to be moving your position, I would say, almost preemptively relative to the cart. Like, the cart's going to move forward. It's going to be at the mega. And honestly, that mega is just a better position no matter what because there's a mega there, right? You can use that mega. But you guys just shit on them here. Like, there's no way you should lose now. I mean, you fucking pushed the whole map on 1 minute, so it's still really good. I just, you know, more like for when there's actually more time in the bank and you're attacking there, I think it'd be a little bit. I think that spot is like, I like going into the banana because it's safe, but I also think you could just rotate all the way around the banana almost instantly. I think one thing you should do on Ashe is do the vertical dynamite like every round. There's no reason not to do that. Or dynamite the spawn door. I think it's really good because you can throw it like 3-4 seconds before the spawn door opens, and then either you get some free ult or it zones them into spawn for an extra 2 seconds, which just takes 2 seconds off the clock, right? So I think you should basically do that every single time you're defending. There's literally no reason not to do that. You should just learn the lineups on every map. It's pretty easy, honestly. You don't have to know the lineup really. But yeah, it's just something you should just always do, right? Just free ult, zone them in spawn. I think the way you peek this corner is a little bit sketchy. I don't like swinging in Overwatch personally. Like, I think it's almost always correct to shoulder peek in Overwatch. Like, I know in like tactical shooters, sometimes people like swing because it's unpredictable. But I think in Overwatch generally, swinging wide on an angle is like, if somebody's watching that angle, they're gonna hit that shot. Whereas I think shoulder peeking, like, you don't know if there's somebody there or not, and it happens their Widow was there, but she wasn't there in the first. Like, just this sort of shoulder peek in and then back out, and then if nobody was there, you go back in again. You kind of like, you don't want to like be reacting too much to that. This is a really good flank though from you and Sigma. You guys are doing the right thing for sure. Try and catch that Widow maybe before she gets back to her team. These are huge kills though. Nice. Yeah, you guys are actually gonna clutch this fight. That's really good. This is definitely the right flank to be doing when you're down players. It's really good, especially when it's overtime. They're pushing the cart, and then they're going to naturally separate as a team. I don't know if that's what you're thinking about, but that's definitely why this flank is so good. I mean, you hit some big shots, but the reason why the flank is good is because the cart and the overtime is naturally going to split up the enemy team, and you're going to find yourself fighting just the back line with you and Sigma and Mercy, and then the rest of their tanks are not going to be there. So yeah, that's definitely the right thing to be doing, especially when you're down. But honestly, up or down, I would say this is a good play. The kill on the Zen is really huge as well. And dodging that hook is all really good. Yeah, and then this, from here it doesn't matter. I like the way you position in this corner here so that the respawner snipers won't have a chance to shoot you. I think that's the right way to clean this fight up. Honestly, pretty solid stuff. I think the biggest things to think about are like, think about your positioning more often. Like, ask yourself, where do you actually want to be in this upcoming, like, think about it proactively. I think that's really the key on Widow and on snipers in general, is be proactive when you're thinking about your position. Heroes like McCree and Soldier, it's like, am I standing in the right spot right now? Is that the right spot I could be to just shoot shields and do damage? But Widow is a hero who benefits massively from being in the right spot ahead of time, like being in the sight line that matters first and camping it, so that their Widow has to peek you as opposed to the other way around. Like, I think you have a big advantage like that. And there's obviously the really cancerous, abusive stuff you can do, like putting Venom mines on the corner and like head peeking on the Venom mine so they can't headshot you. That stuff is really good. But yeah, I would say like a couple times you go on one flank and you like get a kill, but then you just like stay in on that flank and you don't think, is this actually the best spot for me to be in a long fight? And I think if you just ask yourself that question, what's the most powerful spot for me to be in right now? Then I think naturally you're going to make better positioning decisions. Like, and it's okay to reevaluate that constantly. You know, like if you do a flank, you get a kill, it's great usually. It's like usually you want to reposition, but then just ask yourself, what's like the next best spot I could be? Like, what's the next? And especially with the mindset of like, not just where the card is right now, where the fight is right now, but if it's like between fights, there's usually a very obvious position that's like, the next fight is going to happen right here because this is where the cart caps on second point. So you should be playing in a spot that defends that position where the cart will cap, like on Junkertown second. You want to be in that wide open sight line, far back where you're safe, but you also see the cart, you know? And I mean, like, it's not like complicated stuff. And I think the reason you're making these mistakes is not because you don't understand that that's a good position. I think it's really just you're not thinking about it when you're playing, or you're getting too tunnel vision on like clicking the heads. And instead of, which, I mean, there's benefits and detriments to that, but I think in terms of like continuing to improve on Widow, that's the biggest thing for you. I think is just like reevaluate your position a little bit more often and like reposition a little bit more often. Like if you go one flank, you get a good kill, but you end up too deep, you just go back and go the other flank or go back to this high ground position. You know, Widow's a hero who doesn't need to be close to the fight, right? So you can just kind of go back to the OP spot over and over and over again throughout the fight. basically like make the Roadhog walk at you and push you away. Then okay, sure, I'll run away. But if Roadhog leaves and goes back to the rest of the fight, okay, I'm back to the high ground spot, you know. But beyond that, like obviously you're really good at Widow, obviously, and Ashe as well. You played super well. I think obviously better on the Ashe, at least in this demo. You played really well on the Ashe. I think the biggest thing would be just like expanding your pool beyond that sort of one strain of heroes. Like obviously you know that strain of heroes really well, and you'll probably always be a strong player on those heroes. You continue practicing, you'll always be like one of the stronger players on those heroes. But in my opinion, succeeding long term demands that you learn more heroes. Pretty much everyone in the Overwatch League has flexes to, like, you know, like at least one or two, like at least like the Hanzo, or at least like the Tracer off Widow, or the McCree off the Widow, you know. Like Ashe and Widow are really similar heroes, and you're kind of backing yourself into a corner only playing those heroes. Also, like heroes like Reaper and Sombra, they're okay, but those heroes are very meta dependent, and they basically don't get played unless they're like meta, if that makes sense. Like it's either the meta or it's not the meta. Like generally Reaper does not like see a little bit of play time. It's like you either like one trick Reaper and play Lucio more, or you never fucking play Reaper. You know, it's not entirely true, but that's sort of like the type of hero. There's heroes like Tracer and McCree though, who are exactly that type of hero, where they like sometimes like certain map Tracer's really good here at flanking, or wow, we're getting destroyed in the choke and the enemy has these really greedy backliners like Bab Zen or something. Like it's just better to be on Tracer here, you know, or Genji or something like that. You know, there's a few of these heroes that are just always going to have some sort of place in the meta. I think Echo is a hero like that as well. There's going to have some sort of spot or some sort of enemy team comp where you're like, oh, I just have to be on Echo here. And the more you're not able to play those heroes, the less you're going to be able to like succeed in a high level environment, or like succeed in tryouts, or get picked up on an Overwatch League team, you know. So yeah, like your strengths are already strong. If you're at the top of the leaderboard, basically you're at like the top 20, top 30 players in the leaderboard. I would go so far as to say there's not really much point in continuing to practice snipers. Like sure, play them sometimes, keep your aim up, and like, you know, stay confident on them, because those are obviously big, strong heroes for you that you want to be able to keep playing in the high pressure situation where you're very comfortable. But also build up that hero pool. Like maybe make a Smurf or something if you're not comfortable and you're gonna like lose a lot of SR because you never play those heroes. Make a Smurf, that's fine. You know, just fucking spam these heroes on your Smurf, or play like half Widow, half Tracer on your Smurf, something like that. There's a lot of different ways you can go about adding those new heroes to your pool. But that's basically my biggest recommendation of all, beyond the positioning stuff, which is relevant, but I think less so.